Evening to one and all. So a pleasant evening to one and all gathered online and offline to the lecture Professor of Practice being organized by the Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry along with the School of Postgraduate Studies, TNAU, Coimbatore. So on my behalf and on behalf of Department of Soil Science, TNAU, Coimbatore, it's a moment of great privilege and honor to extend a hearty welcome to all present today in the hybrid mode for the lecture, the Professor of Practice. So I deem it as a great pleasure in welcoming our senior professors, colleagues and students of Department of Soil Science and other departments, both online and offline. And we are pleased to welcome our beloved Dean, Dr. N. Sendil, School of Postgraduate Studies, who has been always with us as a motivation force and guiding force in organizing this lecture, wonderful lecture. So, because it is of its first of its kind at national level, and is to deliver the special address. So, we welcome you, sir, and our cheerful welcome to Dr. M.K. Kalarani, madam, the director. Directorate of Crop Management and the Directorate of NRM, Natural Resource Management, in charge today for accepting our invitation to offer the introductory remarks. And we welcome you, madam. So our wholehearted welcome on my behalf and on the students and as well as the Department of Soil Science. We welcome wholeheartedly the speaker of the lecture, Professor of Practice, Ms.Athira Nair, who is holding the post of Soil and Environmental Science Head, Syngenta, at Pune, Maharashtra, who has readily consented to deliver the lecture on very interesting topic, emerging trends in agriculture and entrepreneurship. Hope this will be very much useful to you and it will be an inspiration to you. We welcome you, madam, for having joined through online. So it is my pleasure to welcome all the university officers, guests of the departments and research station and other KVK centers and fellow soil scientists and the staff of our department as well as other departments, those who have joined online and offline. So I once again welcome Ms. Athira Nair, the speaker, Dean SPGS, and all the online and offline participants who have joined hand with us in this occasion of the lecture Professor of Practice. Thank you, Ananda. So now I want to hand over the session to the Dean, School of Postgraduate. I think sir is not available and he may be busy with other meeting. So let me request our senior professor, Dr. Tyageshwari, to offer the.
Yes, ma'am. You're audible. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening, one and all. Respected head of the department, colleagues and the student friends, and Director of Natural Resource Management, Director of Crop Management, and Dean Postgraduate Studies. Good evening. A small brief about this. What is this Professor of Practice? During the year 22-23, our Honorable Vice Chancellor introduced this concept of Professor of Practice. Hope all of you know this concept. It is actually involving a person who is a non-tenure track faculty. They do not belong to our curriculum, but they are having expertise and specialization in their own field. They can be any entrepreneurs, they can be farmers, they can be small factory owners or industrialists, etc., who have expertise on that. And our Vice Chancellor actually wanted to involve their expertise and their knowledge so that our students will get a knowledge on what is actually happening out of our curriculum. So with this base, Dean Postgraduate Studies initiated this Professor of Practice, and to cater to needs of all the students across TNAU, every department was given this target of fixing a person to offer lecture under this program of Professor of Practice. And they have certain norms like so many lectures have to be delivered in a particular year. Mostly offline, and if not possible, we can be in a hybrid mode or also online. So under this category, almost all the departments are conducting the series of lectures under this Professor of Practice, and hope you would have had the opportunity to attend the other lectures also from other departments. And our department, madam has taken effort along with the staff of the department to fix you are Ms. Athira or Dr. Athira?
I'm Ms.Athira. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Ms. Athira. She is working in Syngenta. You know about Syngenta, the seed company at Pune. So here we have Athira who will be delivering her expertise and sharing her experiences, and hope it will be helpful to you. So at this juncture, I thank our Vice Chancellor and our university authorities for having given us this opportunity. This is the second part other than the guest lectures by the external examiners who come for the Viva. So second in line to that, this is only for creating knowledge and having exposure and creating link with the external people. So I hope students will make better use of this and there will be a good interaction.
DCM and the in charge DNRM is busy with some other meeting. Let me take that part of introducing the speaker to you. So I feel very glad and happy and proud to introduce our Ms.Athira Nair, the speaker, the great alumni of our department. Yeah. So actually, Athira Nair, she has completed her undergraduation from Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agriculture University, Hyderabad, and Masters in Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry from Department of Soil Science and Agricultural Chemistry, TNAU, Coimbatore. And her topic, thesis research is on spatial prediction of soil organic carbon for Coimbatore district under the chairmanship of Dr. Jagadishwaran. Okay. And coming to the expertise of Ms. Athira Nair, well expertised in the field of agriculture, innovation, climate resilient agriculture, entrepreneurship, project management, and strategy formulation. And coming to the previous positions she held, she worked as agribusiness manager at the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, operating that has been under the office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. And during her tenure at the Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, Athira actively participated in numerous interdisciplinary projects in the field of agriculture. So she is having a very good exposure in all the fields of all the disciplines of agriculture. And her involvement ranged from UNDP data for policy climate resilient agriculture projects, agri-innovation pilots, and NEGPA digital agricultural projects, where she contributed significantly to the emerging trends in agriculture in Telangana. And currently, she is occupying the position as Soil and Environment Science Lead, Syngenta India Private Limited, Pune, Maharashtra. And she is now currently pursuing the Executive General Management from IIM, Indian Institute of Management, Raipur. And she is very kind enough to give her consent in delivering the short lecture on emerging trends in agriculture and entrepreneurship, leveraging her knowledge and experience in the field of her expertise. Now I request Ms. Athira Nair to take the session. Thank you.
Good evening, one and all, and thank you so much, ma'am, for such a elaborate introduction. So, I was just wondering, can I see the students at least? Like, is the camera be turned towards students? Just a request, ma'am. Hi all, and good evening, everyone. So I must say I'm truly honored and humbled by this invitation. So, because TNAU holds a very special place in my heart, because this is where I started my journey of research in the field of agriculture and other managerial skills, which I got as an add on. I must also say that the opportunities, the exposure, infrastructure, and the array of facilities that TNAU provides in front of you is unmatchable. I can proudly say that I'm an alumni of TNAU, and I don't think the facilities and infrastructure that TNAU provides cannot be provided by any other universities in India. I can say that. So, once again, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude for this incredible opportunity. So, first of all, let me share my screen quickly. I hope my screen is visible. If so, could you please thumbs up? If my screen is visible, please thumbs up. Okay, fine. Thank you. So, as I was searching on what topic which will make a relevance for the students at this point of time, I felt emerging trends and opportunities in agri-entrepreneurship will be the right topic for the students to deep delve into. Uh, Having said that, we have been seeing plenty of startups in the agriculture ecosystem. Sadly, none of them are owned by agri graduates, postgraduates, and all. Everything is started either by an IIM or an IIT alumni or an engineering student, right? So we are jack of all trades. We agriculture students are called as jack of all trades because during our graduation we study economics, agribusiness management, parts of psychology. In the extension subject, we also study, agriculture chemistry, plant breeding, IT, you name it, even engineering too, right? So we study everything and we are jack of all trades. So are we master of everything? Why won't we master? So that's the reason why I've started off with this particular session. Okay. So I have an exercise here. By the end of this session, I request at least two students to come forward to come with one idea. How is an idea coming? An idea will come when you identify a problem and you identify and you come out with a solution for that particular problem. That is when an idea is generated, right? So by end of the session, I request at least two students to come out with few ideas which you felt or which you feel as relevant in agriculture, considering the problems of agriculture in this current scenario. Now coming back to again this topic, agri-entrepreneurship, what make an entrepreneur different from others? Or what make an innovator different from others? Simply two things. One is thinking from the out of the box perspective. What is out of the box perspective? Thinking from a different view. Think differently. We have been hearing since childhood, think differently, do differently. But are we doing differently is a question, obviously, that you can ask yourself. Thinking out of the box is the major factor that leads to the genesis of an innovator or an entrepreneur. The second thing, first thing is out of the box, second thing is connecting the dots. You must be having lot of knowledge, lot of information. What are you going to do out of that information? That is called connecting the dots. A very simple example that I would like to quote here is tea, which is tea powder, milk, and sugar. You have these three things. This is just a data. And you know that with these three things, you can make tea out of it, right? Milk, tea powder, and sugar. You can make tea out of it. That is an information. How, when will it turn into a knowledge? If you know how to make a tea, that will turn into a knowledge. I hope I am comprehensible, like people can understand what I'm telling, right? If no, kindly raise your hands, or by end of the session, you can ask me the questions or whatever questions you have. So if you know how to make a tea, that is knowledge. If you know that with sugar, tea powder, and milk, you can make a tea, that is just an information. And you execute it, it is knowledge. And when you know how to make a strong tea, how to make a light tea, how to make a green tea or black tea, then that is called wisdom, which is above all. So you have to understand where we stand. Are we studying with just information, just data, or are we converting it into knowledge and converting it to wisdom? Just question yourself. You will know the answer because you know what you want, right? So these two things are very important for an entrepreneur, thinking out of the box, connecting the dots. So by the end of the session, I request two ideas from students. So I'm moving to the agri-entrepreneurship area. Just brief you about the current status very quickly. I know this is going to be a bit, heavy in content-wise, but this is very relevant information as per agriculture is concerned. So that's why I'm presenting this quick points. Because agri-tech originated long back, agriculture is there since long back, but agriculture technology started like 11 years back with an inflection point from 2017 to 18, and since then there is a steep increase, there is a great increase in the agricultural technology and entrepreneurship. So there is about 4.6 billion investment in the agriculture technology. This much fund is being pumped into this particular agri sector, which excludes the food delivery app like Zomato and Swiggy. Obviously, we are not considering that. Then it will be a whooping uh, 10 million USD. Then if you see the farmer adoption, it's just 10 to 15%. So I'll come back to this point. Okay, there is a lot of technological interventions. There is deep tech, AI, artificial intelligence, which is machine learning. Then we also have biotech, nutrition tech, and a lot more. You name it, everything is technical. You go to a hospital, everything is technical. But in agriculture, do you think we are completely technical? I'm not sure. It's up to your thinking. Then Indian startups are also going global. These are agri startups like Cropin, Satsure, AgriCX. They are all going global. They have, connection with the other country. They have market in other countries of the world, in Europe, in Africa, and all. Then there is a lot of corporate engagement. Corporates are also encouraging startups to come forward. People like students or young minds to come with new ideas which can change their business line. Then government policy reforms. Government is also providing a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurship. Now, coming back to this particular point I mentioned, farmer adoption is 10 to 15%. Why do we think the farmer adoption is 10 to 15%, even though there are plenty of technologies available? Because all these so-called startups are started by either an IITN or an IIM, or else an engineer, or anyone who is not relevant to agricultural field. There is very, I would say, I can count in numbers, very less agriculture graduates or postgraduates who has come with an idea and converted into an entrepreneurial journey. Why? Because why this adoption rate is low? Because we agriculturists or as postgraduates or graduates or PhDs in agriculture know what does a farmer want, but the engineers know what is the technology. So this is where we have a lot of scope. We know what farmers want, and we can, you know, tweak the technology according to the requirement of farmer. So I am not wasting much time on each of the slide because a bit more heavy content. Very quickly on the emerging trends of agri-entrepreneurship, there are plenty of things happening in the agriculture space. We know that digitization, now in the nook and corners of the country, people are using Google Pay. All of them have access for uh, mobile phones. There is MI and artificial intelligence and machine learn based agriculture systems, field monitoring tools, sensors which can sensor moisture, temperature, sensors which can give an overall view of the land and specifically say where is the crop having issue, where is the disease, where is the pest infestation, and there are change in dietary habits, increased purchasing power. Middle class is having more purchasing power, and now they are becoming more health conscious. There are crop insurance, fintech, carbon credit, sustainability. You just name it. Just one thing I wanted to add here is agriculture is very vast. So opportunities within the agriculture field is very huge, right? So considering all these emerging trends, you can understand there are plenty of things happening in agriculture. This is just a gist of it. I will be going individually into some of these points, but I would say unlike any other field, like if you take medical, it is just about human body. But if it's agriculture, it's not just about a single crop. It's about multiple crops, fruits, vegetables, spices, condiments, aromatics. Then comes the monitoring of diseases, the chemicals which can be used, and soil health enhancers, the financial part of it, agriculture, crop insurance, fintech, you just name it. Everything is related to agriculture. See, the doctors, the engineers, they are all going advanced in technology, like they are at the peak of technologies. But do you think they can survive without food? So what is the basic requirement? Food, right? So who is producing food? Farmers, and we agriculturists are supporting the farmers. So in a way, agriculture is the sector which is the foundation for any other sector to launch, or any other sector to go forward. So just to give a gist on emerging trends of agri-entrepreneurship, so far there are 1,729 startups registered, and many of the startups have raised fund because their idea is very worth it, and they have a better scalability as in how to increase their business. They have a proper marketing strategy, and there is a lot of fund inflow or investment inflow in the upstream agritech. I'll show the value chain of agriculture wherein you'll get a better idea. Now, from here, I just wanted all of you to think from this perspective, the entire agriculture value chain. right? The entire agriculture value chain from the upstream to downstream. The input supply, pre-production, production, post-harvest, storage management, trading and marketing, processing, wholesale export, retail, consumption, until it reaches our plate. From the farm to the fork, right? Until it reaches our plate. So just think one by one. There are plenty of problems associated with each of this, and there is a solution available in and around us, right? Which we need to think. That is where the connecting dots happen. Agriculture, finance, and insurance technology. Agriculture itself is a risky business, and that's why most of the companies seldom provide insurance except for government's Fasal Bima Yojana, which is again something that debatable. And coming to this particular thing, this is where finance is involved, and good quality seeds. This is where agriculture, biotechnology, and biomaterials are involved. Pre-production. This is to see whether soil is at the right till. The tilt is proper. And precision and digital agriculture technology to monitor the entire crop, whether there is pest infestation, disease infestation. If it is beyond ETL, definitely we have to take an action. So that's where precision and digital agriculture technology plays a role. The entire supply chain, post harvest, how can we bring it to the market, in a value added product? Just one example I would say here is tomato. Tomato is having very less shelf life. If farmers are unable to sell it to the market at right time, or a trader is not procuring the tomato at right time, farmer had no other option but to discard. But now, how can we convert that tomato into a value added product? Now, many of the farmers are drying the tomato and converting it to tomato powder. Simple as that, just a simple thought. Onion powder is there, tomato powder is there, garlic powder is there. So there are plenty of value added products which increase the shelf life of the product and also increase, the consumption rate. So the wastage of food itself is reduced. So in a way, the entire value chain, if you see, there are plenty of gaps. Now you think where your idea will make sense. Who are going to support us if we have any ideas? There are plenty of incubators, accelerators. There are investors and donors. You don't have to take money from your hand. There are investors and donors available. And there is policy and regulation which supports entrepreneurship, right? Sorry, my slide is a bit stuck. Now, maybe this slide is something that I've kept to understand Indian agri-tech. What is it trying to solve? Let's divide the entire production process into three parts: pre-production, production, and post-production, right? And now let's see this entire three areas from the data perspective, from the farmer perspective, and the supply chain perspective. You can see there are plenty of gaps. In terms of data, we don't have proper data of soil and weather data. We don't have proper crop monitoring tool. The prices is highly unstable in the agriculture domain, right? That creates a lot of gap. Farmer will be harvesting today and he want to sell the produce tomorrow. The price would have got down by 10 rupees. You never know. So there is a lot of issues here in this area. How can we, at least moderate the price? Is a question that you have to ask yourself. Then from the farmer point of view, farmer is having limited access to quality inputs. There is a distorted access to credit. The Kisan credit card is there, which provides loans to farmers at 4% of interest. But still, farmers are not provided, or farmers are not getting credit. What is the reason? There is a lot of insurance product, because it doesn't make sense for a company to give an insurance to a farmer who is having a land of less than 1 acre or 2 acre. Does it make sense? No. Then invisibility of demand. Farmer doesn't know where is the demand, so that, if there is a demand, for example, a farmer from Tamil Nadu, he wants to sell a produce to Kerala, and he doesn't know what is the demand of other parts, right? So there is no scope to understand where is demand, and so that the farmer can send that produce to that particular place. Inadequate grading and sorting, fragmented farming and depleting resources, low mechanization rate, obviously insufficient and high cost of labor, especially in the cotton industry, inadequate storage processing, transport facilities, and fragmented distribution. So plenty of problems. I think this is going to confuse all of us. Like, you just name it, that exist in agriculture, plenty of problems within agriculture. So are we going to solve it? Let's see. Now, opportunities in agri entrepreneurship, let me quickly go through one by one. One is access to quality inputs. There are companies like AgroStar. These are startups, by the way. They started either through bootstrapping or else bootstrapping as in their own money, or else they raised grants and funds and then they started these companies which give quality inputs and enable precise and timely delivery of the inputs to the farmers. Because they also have data, they also have models which predict when is this input is required, and advisory is also provided to farmers. Farm to fork market linkage. Consider the entire post harvest management. So farm to fork market linkage technically means sustainably making sure the produce from the market is available, or produce the farmer produces is available for food consumption, as in human consumption, reducing the wastage and reducing any other resources per se. Reduce use of water during the process of cultivation, reduce use of energy during the process of transportation, lot more, you just name it. Everything is under the farm and folk market linkages. You see, there are companies, you must be aware, Ninja Cart, Dihad, Waycool. So Waycool is having a cold storage system, which helps in increasing the shelf life, and it gives farmers some support in terms of storing the produce. Everything in agriculture is having a separate value chain. You see, for rice crop, the value chain is different. For meat and poultry, it is different, right? You have, for spices, it is the dried product, which is the output. For dry fruits, again, it's dry product. So the entire value chain for each and every crop is different. So that's where we can specifically pick one or two fruits, vegetables, or crops, and you can understand where can or how can I work in this particular crop to increase its availability and sustainability, improve its production, and reaches to human consumption without wastage. That's where, and I think we all win if we can crack these things. This is where agriculture wins. Next is access to finance, agri fintech. A system, there are companies like Samunnati and all which provides funding for the farmers for agriculture practices. In fact, they also have a credit scoring wherein based on the previous crop data, based on their economic situation and lot more, it gives a credit scoring for the farmers, and based on their credit scoring, these companies are providing loans to the farmers for agriculture. Why do companies have to provide when there are banks? Because banks are having quite a agenda in terms of providing credit to farmers. But these companies, obviously, they have more interest rate, but still they are trying to make sure that fund is accessible to farmers, right? Not just that, they help in value chain financing and then post harvest financing. Based on warehouse receipt, farmer can obtain funding. Then data and advisory. Companies like Bharat Agri, Bharat Rohan, Cultivate, TraceX, these companies works on the data. So probably from this itself, you might have understood all these companies are owned by engineers. They have data. Now, what do they don't know? They don't know the conditions. For example, data on weather, data on farmer, the soil, the crop, which soil is right for this particular crop, what is the quality of farmland, what is the quality of commodities. So these are the data they don't have access to, but that's where agriculture people can actually go into or get into. They have satellite imagery. They have with the satellite imagery, they takes up the images. They have sensors which can identify where the disease infestation is there or pest infestation is there, and this data will be popped up into the farmer's mobile as a dashboard. So like this, the farmer can see, okay, where is the issue in my plot, where I should spray more pesticides, where is more pest infestation, disease infestation, where there is nutrient infestation. And there are sensors which triggers farmers on what is the moisture level, how much water need to be it's all digitized. The entire system is digitized. Now the question to you to ask is, these technologies are available. From the farmer point of view, does it make sense? Ask yourself, Does it make sense from the farmer point of view? Now, coming to other points, mechanization. There are plenty of companies like Sickle Innovation, X Machines, and all that works on robotics and computer vision. You know what X Machines do? If any one of you is watching Shark Tank, you might have seen X Machines as well. These are very small, compact robots. They go through alleys of the field, and they have a sensor vision camera which goes 360 degrees. And whenever they find a weed, they will go to that particular weed and apply herbicide on that spot. This is called spot application of herbicide. In a way, it reduces the farmer's cost in herbicide purchase, reduces the residue level on the soil, and improve the soil health, right? Am I correct? I mean, okay, this may not be an interactive session, but I hope post the session, many of you will come up with more questions so that I'll be happy to answer. So X Machine uses AI to distinguish between the weed crop and normal crop and spot apply the herbicide, and that herbicide will be killed. I mean, sorry, that particular weed will be killed. So people are thinking to that extent in terms of technologies, right? So if we know the technology, we can connect with our use cases in agriculture. Okay, we know what is AI is. AI can distinguish between crops. AI can do a lot more. So how is it useful from the agri point of view? So in a way, mechanization is possible. There are plenty of companies who came with that. There is a company called Robomatics, Green Robots, which has an attenuator which captures or which plugs the cotton, because in cotton the major issue is high cost of labor. The cost of cultivation and high cost of labor, if we compare, the labor cost is more. So it doesn't make sense for the farmer. So this particular device go to this particular cotton ball and attenuate it. So there are plenty of scope for mechanization. If an agriculture engineer or else an engineer sits with an agriculture graduate, I think 60% of the problems in agriculture can be solved in terms of mechanization. Novel farming. There are plenty of news you might have seen in terms of hydroponics, vertical farming. In the cities and all, you can see there is plenty of vertical farming structures being constructed. And even in cities like Hyderabad, Pune, Bangalore and all, exotic vegetables like lettuce, cabbage, lettuce, broccoli and all, these are all cultivated through hydroponics within a controlled environment. Maybe in your terrace only you can keep hydroponics, agri kisan hydroponics, and you can produce exotic vegetable like lettuce and all, which people think that, oh my god, this is very costly. We can get it only when you purchase burger. But it's simply you can produce it with hydroponics and you can sell it at a better cost in the market. So these are the opportunities that we can see. The next is direct to customers. You must be knowing Big Basket, Country Delight, Licious and all. Directly from the farmers, they procure. If it's Licious, they procure meat. And if it's Country Delight, they procure milk at comparable rate, thereby removing all the middlemen who is trying to take the margin and then selling the produce finally to the customers. In a way, customers will be having a good advantage in terms of price. At the same time, the farmer will be getting good price. But this is working only in cities. Why is it not scalable again? As question that you have to ask yourself. I think I'm asking so many questions to ask yourself, but I think that's where we have to think out of the box. Considering branding of fruits and vegetables, avocado, lot of fuss about avocado. I didn't see this fruit particularly like few years back, but nowadays in Instamart and all, you can see a lot of avocado, lot of fuzz around this particular fruit rich in vitamin E, and then dragon fruit. Obviously our country fruits are much better, but still, people are going with the market trends, and that's where we can capture the market, right? Okay, if okay, people are more having more demand on this. Okay, why won't I start something like that? Why won't I produce, or why won't I procure it? So this is where an agriculture graduate can think about. Another thing, nowadays you can see a lot of products in the name of organic. Just by organic they will add rupees 5, like normal would be like 30 rupees, and the organic produce will be like 35 or 40 rupees, a margin of 10 rupees. And they claim that it is organic. How can we be so sure that this is organic? So that's where traceability is coming into place. With a QR code attached to this particular product, a customer can scan the QR code, which will take the customer to a page wherein enter details of the production process. Where is it cultivated? Where is it processed? What type of chemicals have been used? Whether it's organic or not, all the details of a particular produce is it can be gained from this, to reduce the residue levels and all through the traceability. It's just nothing. It's a QR code, and this QR code is having a lot of information. Even in, we can produce QR code just like that from website, if you know. Then there are alternate proteins. What are alternate proteins? Cultured meat, just like chicken, which is not chicken, just like chicken, but we taste like chicken, but it's not chicken. So that's where another market is coming, because vegetarians always complain that we have only paneer and we have only chili gobi. We don't have any other things to eat. So to cater to the requirement of vegetarians in restaurants, mostly this cultured meat, as in not cultured meat, just like meat. These things I've kept. These are plant protein based mix of this peas and what say a mix of all other produce will convert into a particular meat, like meat looking like and meat tasting like things, which is not actually meat. Then millet based foods, obviously. TNAU, I would say, is a place where millet has been engrossed like anything. Back in my hostel time, I used to eat the ragi vermicelli. I hope it's still there in hostels. Ragi vermicelli. Yes or no? It's there. Okay. Thank you. So millet is still being engrossed. Thank you for that. There are plenty of companies who came millet noodles, millet biscuits, lot more. So it's just that we have to think around these lines. Then moringa, basil, ashwagandha, and lemongrass-based herbal products are also being sold. So this is a gist on so many opportunities in agri-entrepreneurship. Coming to the new trend very quickly is biologicals, one thing, because we are fed up of chemicals, right? I am working with Syngenta, but Syngenta is also endorsing biologicals. Why? Because we see a niche area there. Biologicals is a portfolio which includes biocontrol, biostimulants, and nitrogen use efficiency products. So it's a formulation of microbes or any other, uh, alkaloids or something, which can impact the uptake of nutrients, which can improve the resistance of the crop, and it's a mix of that. So there is a lot of scope for biologicals, which you can also think, being soil experts, you can also think about the, areas where biologicals make sense, how to improve the nitrogen use efficiency, what are the formulations available. Uh, so this is where we can also think about. The next big thing is carbon credit. A lot of us around carbon credit. What exactly is carbon credit? Many companies are coming forward with carbon farming. Everything is related to carbon. In simple sense, I mean, most of you must be aware, but I thought I'll just simply explain what exactly is carbon credit. See, the carbon dioxide in atmosphere is considered as the pollutant, but this particular carbon, when it's converted into plants or when it is stored into the soil in a biological form, this process is called carbon sequestration, right? So this is the best management practice to generate carbon credit. So the carbon which is available in the atmosphere as a pollution or a pollutant is converted into a sequestrated product, and that's where we generate a carbon credit. It is considered as a carbon credit. Okay. Industries have their own norms. They have a limit in production process, right? They can produce nutrients only up to some, I'm sorry, they can emit carbon dioxide or any other pollutants to atmosphere only up to a limit, right? So if it is beyond the limit, they will be penalized. So that's where this particular carbon credit is of interest for the industry, because they can improve their production system. How is it important for the agriculture? Because agroforestry and agriculture is a carbon sequestration process. So in a way, a farmer can get benefit if an industry is buying carbon credit from the farmer, because the farmer is storing carbon in the form of crop or agroforestry, and this particular credit will be provided to the industry, and industry in return will be giving monetary, I mean it is it they will provide according to the charge of that particular credit to the farmers are benefited economically. Okay, so that's a lot of heavy information on agriculture and their value chain, the technologies, whatever is happening in agriculture. But in spite of all that, 92% of the startups fail. If you are a fan of Shark Tank, you must be aware why most of the startups are failing. This is a question that we have to ask ourselves, because there is no market validation, insufficient validation. There is a lack of balanced team, lack of planning, and most of the startups fail at this particular, which is called valley of death. So this is a period in the metamorphosis or in the life of the startups in which they began their operation, but they are not generating revenue. But once and for they generate revenue and they become break even, as in their profits are raising, then they will start growing until early stage, later stage, and then they go for IPO. This is how a company or a startup works. It will start with an idea. A person like you who is sitting there in the hall will come up with an idea. He will go to an incubator for support. He will get a grant. He work on the idea and he will produce a prototype. And this prototype is later, you will be planning for marketing and all. Then you again get fund from the venture capitalist or whoever is there for seed capital, and then you will start growing, and then until you reach a point where your company is ready for IPO. One example I would say is Mama Earth is a company which started, it's a startup. They've started and then now they are ready for IPO. This is just a metamorphosis of startup. So now I wanted to ask, you must be knowing what is business incubator, because TNAU is also having an incubator, which is technology business incubator in the agri-business area. So incubator as such is a combination of business development process wherein they provide infrastructure and mentorship for the startups to grow, right? So as a startup is growing, incubator provide all the mentorship and structure. So you see, these are the problems that a startup face. Now that's when incubator come into place. Incubators were like, okay, we can help you. How are they going to help us? They will give a comprehensive service for accelerating the growth of the startups. How are they going to help? Business development, because startups, some of the startup people, you must be knowing the idea, but how to convert it to business, you may not be aware. Then the incubators will provide you support in terms of registration, what license you need to carry, marketing, legal compliances and everything. This incubator will be supporting. As a startup owner or an idea owner, it will help you in understanding in the first place, and it saves your time and money. Otherwise, if you're just coming up with an idea, you don't know what to do, what's next. So that's where business incubators will help you. In TNAU also there is a business incubator, and not just that, there are plenty of business incubators in our country. Financing, in terms of financial service, you may not be having enough money, you must be having idea, but you don't know what to do. You don't have money. Okay, what to do? Now you will go to this incubator. Incubators are having access to some of the grants, some of the venture capitalists who can support you in providing particular fund. In a way, this will help entrepreneur to overcome the financial gap. Networking and capacity building, this is a very important thing that you have to do even as a student. You need to network, you need to understand who where are other people who studied in soil science working. I did that. I'll be frank, I did that. Since the time I have joined TNAU, I was looking in LinkedIn, who are the soil science experts, what are they doing, what are their current position. Okay, what do we need to do to get into a position, and what are our strength, what are our weakness, what are our opportunities and threats. Obviously, networking and capacity building is very important, wherein you need to have a mentor. You need to decide who is going to be your mentor, who can support you during your academics as well as post that. networking with fellow entrepreneurs, skill development, and market linkages. So incubators will provide you, support you with networking, and in a way, you will have great learning, exchange of ideas, partnership, and business relationships. Infrastructure. As a startup with just an idea, you don't know what to do. You don't have an office space. You don't have to worry. Incubators provide you lab and production facilities, office spaces, meeting rooms, and all. In a way, it reduces your cost requirement, right? So this is again the same graph that I've mentioned, but at this point in the metamorphosis of startup, as a founder, you come up. You will have an inception, you will have a pilot test, you have a rollout, and then that's when you start growing. At every point, you need fund, right? You need money to be piped in. How? How is it possible? There are grants available. Angel investors would be there. Only thing is that once you start earning, the investors can back out, or investors can continue investing, or they can reap the profit out of it, venture capitalist, and then you can go for banks. So this is the entire incubation and startup growth cycle. Same technology development. In fact, if you see most of the agri-tech startups, they are incubated at NAM, Manage, even at TBI. They don't know anything about agriculture. So with incubator support, they will understand what is required. So technology development, consultancy, funding, and mentoring, they'll be providing. There are plenty of incubators in India working in different sectors, specifically in agriculture, horticulture, fisheries, lot of them, even in Hyderabad, because that's where I was working on. In Hyderabad itself, there are like 6, 7 incubators specifically for agriculture. So what is a startup. All of you must be aware, and all of you know what is a startup. But how can you, tell you are a startup? What are the condition to be called as a startup? If the company is less than 10 years old, then only you can be, called as a startup. And it should be either a private limited company or limited liability company. Your annual turnover shouldn't be more than rupees 100 crores. Oh my God, 100 crores. Seriously, once you start a startup journey, it doesn't matter. 100 crores is something that most of the startup companies actually aim at. So it shouldn't be exceeding 100 crores. Then it should be an original entity. It shouldn't be something splitted up from another company. For example, there is a company working in fruits and processing part, and for one fruit, if they have split it up and they started claiming themselves as a startup, doesn't work. Startup should be unique. It should be innovative and scalable, like improving a product, process, or service, and it should be having a scalable business model. So that's what we say, right? Identify a problem, and from that problem, try to solve the problem. That's where your idea comes. Identify a problem, and what can you provide to solve the problem? This is one strategy. Second strategy is create a problem and give a solution by yourself. But where do you think we can sustain? We can sustain only if you identify a problem that is already existing and you're providing solution for that particular problem. Now, DPIIT. So this is the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. A startup, once you are in an idea stage, you have to register under a DPIIT. Because what are the perks of being registered under DPIIT? Because there will be a certificate of recognition from the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and there will be a lot of subsidies that you will get. There will be self-certification, 9 labor laws and 3 environmental law. Everything is covered under this. No site inspection will be there for the next 5 years. The startups will fall under the white category, under the Central Pollution Control Board, and you need not to pay tax for 3 consecutive financial year. If you have a certificate of recognition from DPIIT as a startup, you don't have to pay tax for the next 3 years. Okay, and patent application, IPR services will also be provided. Then exemption from tender process and government e-commerce market. You will have access to government's portal for e-commerce. So now consider you have a startup. I mean, you have an idea, you want to register your startup, and how to get funding for the startup. Bootstrapping is nothing but you're using your own money, your father's money or your mother's money. And it is always advisable that, when you start or when you have an idea, start getting grants. Bootstrapping is using your own money. Advantage here is that as the company grows, the entire fund will be yours only. You don't have to share your profit with anyone else. The other thing is grants are money provided for an idea to build into a prototype. You can get grants through grant challenges, hackathons and all. Various government schemes are also there for grant. What is the perk about grant is the money provided for you to work on the startup which you need not to repay as profit or nothing. You need not to repay. That is called a grant. Now, equity based, angel investors and all in Shark Tank and all, you must be, I don't know how many of you watch Shark Tank. Many of them, Namita will be like, I'm out. This is not my expertise. I can invest this much. So why they want to invest, because they don't it is not because they have so much money. They invest because they know that this particular idea is going to give them returns in larger scale, and that's where equity based funds are also available. Debt based funds, which you all know, which is the loans from banks, and many of the loans are there which give up to 1 crore without collateral for a startup if it is in the growth phase, as I mentioned in the graph. So as a student, you must be aware, like, okay, what are the schemes from government of India? Okay, you mentioned about the startup, you mentioned about the opportunities in agriculture, you mentioned about what is a startup, how can I qualify as a startup, what is a DPIIT registration, what are the different types of funding for the startups. Now, what are the schemes available from government which is beneficial for you? DST, which is DST is NSTADB, which is National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board, have a Nidhi Prayas. They have these types of funds, entrepreneur in residence. For a graduate student to take up entrepreneurship by providing support as a fellowship for 12 months. You have an idea, you are registering and you are working on your idea for building a prototype, and you can apply for this particular EIR program, wherein you will be getting a fellowship for of 30,000 rupees per month for 12 months. Because many of the people don't take up entrepreneurship journey because they want money. They feel that, okay, we are not getting paid after education, we don't have enough time, we need to earn. So they are providing 30,000 per month, which will be beneficial for you to work for the startup. At the same time, you are getting paid. Then there is Prayas grant. This is for young innovators who have an idea and they don't know what to do next. So to translate an idea to prototype, Prayas is providing 10 lakh rupees as grant, which you need not to repay, provided your idea is unique, it creates a lot of impact, which is scalable. If you are sure about that, there will be definitely a lot of look and there will be a lot of uh, eliminations and all. But this is one of the best grant. Seed support system, seed money for startups up to 50 lakhs, and average, they say 50 lakhs, but usually average they'll be providing like 25 lakhs. Then big grant by BIRAC, which is Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, for an idea stage startup, validation of for POC, 50 lakhs as grant. Then Small Business Innovation Research Initiative, support for scaling up POC. That is, you have a prototype, you have a product. Now you have to take it to the market. So for that particular stage of startup, 1 crore funding will be provided. This is a matching fund, not a grant. Then Social Innovation Program for Products, PERCH under PERCH. POC proven biotech products and innovations, and for their upscaling, rupees 50 lakhs will be provided. Bionest Seed Fund, Bionest Incubators, wherein 50 lakhs per startup is provided. Then we also have RKVY Raftar program. This is gone Ministry of Agriculture's program, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana's Raftar program, remunerative approaches for farming, agriculture and farming sectors rejuvenation. They have entrepreneurship orientation program. So if you have an idea specifically for agriculture, this is only exclusively for agriculture on technology, service or business platform, etc., and you wanted to convert it to a prototype, this particular program provide 2-month orientation program and 5 lakh rupees as grant. And then you also have agri-business, startup agri-business incubation program, wherein startup with minimum viable product. That is, you have a product, but it is not yet ready, commercially operational. You are in that stage. You will be provided 2 month residential training program on scaling up the business, and you will also be provided 25 lakhs as grant. Grant, you kindly note, grant is something that is provided to you. You need not to repay. Then others include MSMEs, Innovator Promotion Scheme, MITES program, Technology Development Boards program. So see, there are plenty of schemes wherein you can raise fund. For that, I would suggest all of you, you must be much more, curious on, okay, what are these funds? How can we access these funds? You can go to the Startup India's portal, understand how this works, and understand what are the different types of incubators, and whatever ideas you have, you wanted to convert into a proper, business model, you can check with these. NRDC, this is for manufacturing startups, up to 30 lakhs on equity, obviously. Then SFAC's 50 lakhs for individuals, promoters, and farmer producers organization. This is where we can also see an opportunity for agriculture graduates. Then validation grant for PAC prototype of rupees 20 lakhs and market entry fund, because as a startup want to enter into market, lot of money need to be pumped in. So that's why SISF is providing 50 lakhs grant. Now coming to the Tamil Nadu state scenario, Tamil Nadu startup and innovation policy is there. Under this particular policy, uh, you know, for any early stage startups, a funding up to rupees 15 lakhs, as an idea, which is having a complete rural impact, which is going to improve a lot of things in rural. See, we all are from rural background, right? We all come from villages too. Okay, there are plenty of people who hails from cities, but we know what is the problem within our location. And if you can identify that problem and you think that this particular idea or this particular thing will be a solution for that problem, and you can create an impact for that problem, government is ready to support you, incubators are ready to support you, and you know the knowledge on agriculture. So what is stopping us? Rural impact, climate action, women-led startups. Women are given lot of priority in the startup ecosystem. Simply by uh, being at your own place, you can think about having a mushroom, or as plenty of opportunities. Just that we need to think where we start having or generating income. What is the possibilities of that? So this is where I feel enabling ecosystem for agri-entrepreneurship makes sense, because an agri-entrepreneurship or agritech ecosystem consists of startups, and we need to be linked with the corporates, because corporates are giants. They are good players. You need to understand the market requirement. You know the market requirement, and corporates are ready to acquire you in case you feel that okay, you don't want to continue this. You will be getting good pay once you are acquired by corporates, and then government and research institutes are working towards a particular problem statement. Understand what they are working in, get the technical expertise of these particular research institutions and incubators. To raise money, have the investors. So agri-tech ecosystem works on this particular. Just a guest on what we have done so far in Telangana state in the food and agriculture domain. We have worked with PJTSU on the emerging technologies, agri-nutri connect products. As I mentioned, rural impact to reduce malnutrition among vulnerable groups by 50% through structured approach. Just by giving medicines and all, it is not going to reduce the anemia issue. You have to develop a system wherein it works itself. You give a good quality millet seeds or biofortified food seeds. Tell the farmers in that region to grow this particular variety, and tell them to do the seed breeding as well, and tell them to consume this particular food. You need not to provide things which has been taken from other places to a place where there is a problem. Within your system, how can you solve a problem is where a lot more impact lies. Data for policy, climate resilient agriculture technologies. Uh, there was a statement given in one of the important consortium. It's just that a person who can tackle the climate change effect is not just in agriculture, it is in every field. In every field it is relevant. So a person who can tackle that is going to be the next big, uh, I would say, Mark Zuckerberg type in the future. Then the emerging technologies for with this I conclude my presentation, but as I mentioned before, I wanted two or three students to come up with few ideas if they feel it is relevant. Ma'am, if you so anyone, I mean, as I mentioned, I would like to listen from two people with some ideas. Yes, please. I mean, you are on mute, so if you could unmute and speak up. Reminds me of my college time too.
We have
Hi,
studied about
hi.
carbon credits. Hi.
Your good name?
Yeah, myself, Baner-Pashan Reddy, ma'am. I'm and actually a junior from Hyderabad Ph.no campus.
Okay, great.
Maybe
Sure.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, you have told me about carbon credits, right? Can we buy the carbon credits from farmers and sell it to the corporates?
Okay.
And is there any norms for that in India? And actually, I have heard about it in USA and some other countries where they are buying credits from farmers and selling them to other companies.
Okay.
What is the status of it?
Okay. Okay. With respect to carbon credit, Government of India doesn't have a proper protocol or norm. Now, what Government of India recently did is they have released a framework of voluntary carbon market, wherein it's just a gist on how to sequestrate carbon. It didn't mention how to convert the carbon credit into a monetary benefit, like converting the carbon credit for the farmer's benefit. It's a long way research. I would say it will take more year. In US and all, there are two standards that they follow: gold standard and Vera standard. Based on the standards, they monitor the level of carbon that any particular agricultural activity or agroforestry is able to sequestrate. Now, another problem with respect to this is that what is the persistence? For example, you are from the carbon as a pollutant, the carbon dioxide as a pollutant, you are sequestrating it into the soil in the form of either biology, any plants or crops, or else converting it to biochar and sequestrating it in the soil. Now, how long do you think it's going to stay? What if through agroforestry trees are there? Somebody on one fine day cut the trees. Do you think it makes sense? Tillage is one other another thing. If you are tilling the soil, that itself will make the carbon dioxide to escape to the soil, right? So there are plenty of problems at this particular point. But if there are plenty of farmers, unlike in India where the land is very fragmented, in US the land holding is quite huge. So for such farmers, if they follow sustainable protocol in a way to sequestrate carbon, like no tillage, cover crop, and then agroforestry, uh, margins, floral margins, a lot more, they will be able to sequestrate carbon. So there are agencies within US who work as carbon auditors. These carbon auditors will come and timely monitor the level of sequestration, provided there is no change in that sequestration level. And it is a long term process. It takes 5 to 10 years, I would say 5 years minimum, to know how much carbon is sequestrated, and that is converted to carbon credit. Now, if you ask, in US and all, companies are ready to convert this carbon credit for their benefit and provide money, that particular money, whatever it's equivalent to the carbon credit to the farmers. Now, another thing is that consider the carbon sequestrated is around 100 million tons, which is equivalent to uh, 100 or consider like roughly I'm telling $100 or something. It's not right, by the way. But the carbon credit conversion would be, even if we have sequestrated 100 million tons, the carbon credit worth 50 million tons will only be provided. In a way, we are supporting the environment, right? So there is no such protocol followed or not such protocol in India as of now. But carbon credit is going to come in India soon. That's why many of the companies have started the carbon auditing. One example is Renew. You can actually go to their website and see some of the carbon sequestration projects. So if you are interested to know more, from the Ministry of Agriculture, they have released a voluntary carbon framework, which will be a starting thing to read with. Converting it to monetary is a question. It will take more years, maybe.
Okay.
I hope it answered your question. I think nobody's having idea. Everybody wants. I was just wondering, like, what is the major problem which you think in agriculture from your perspective? Okay. Now let's go to the root cause. Yes. Why are we unable to, depend on a or fix on a particular price for agriculture commodity? Yes. Somebody else has come.
Good evening, ma'am. Thanks for the lecture. And actually, you're asking that what is the problem in agriculture? Actually, that in agriculture, the production is everything okay because the people are selling the high yielding varieties of seeds, everything. So people are getting good yield and enjoy the yield it seems. But when comparing to when coming to that storage and everything and transporting to that you say the supply chain management things, nowadays that supply chain management things that are not they're not willing to do that transport of that highly perishable goods. If we people are thinking that we want more money, we want more profitable, the people are thinking that overseas transportation. So that and all now very limited in the that's very limited in the supply chain management. Is there any alternate ideas that you have to improve that supply chain management for the overseas transportation for the highly perishable goods? Because you're asking that what's the big problem? That marketing in the perishable goods are very problem in that agriculture, so that farmer then only they can get high profit.
You're talking about export and import, big money, huh? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, first of all, are we able to solve the problem within our country in agriculture? So, we have some expertise and some knowledge, right? We don't know where are the warehouses. We know the farmers' field. Now, as an agriculturist, what can we think? Consider a state. As I did a project in Telangana similar to this line, wherein what we did is we, through remote sensing and GIS, obviously we know the location of all the warehouses and all. We know the farmers who produce these particular crop, and now how much, what is the lack, what is the gap in the entire warehouse cycle? Where are warehouses less? Which locality have less warehouses or cold storages? We identify that, and through government we are trying to ask entrepreneurs like you who are agriculture experts to set up a warehouse there. How will you get benefited? You will get benefited because you are providing the infrastructure for storage of the produce, and in return, this is how the agriculture ecosystem works. You told a problem, right? Now the solution is within yourself, in your mind itself. Okay, how to solve this particular problem? There should be better infrastructure in terms of transportation and warehouse. Now coming to the import and export thing, uh, what I have identified is that mostly high quality produce is going for export. Under a PEDA registration, everything is going for export. Now, there is no proper warehouse system or cold storage system. And if we identify that particular gap and we can provide a cold storage system, that will be a breakthrough, because for high value products like export quality products, it makes sense because farmers are also ready to pay for this particular service.